Hello dear students, welcome in this channel Patel Science Academy. Today in this lecture you are going to know about the topic adaptation in the flowers. As you know, in the previous lecture I have explained about the different adaptation in the other flowers, especially for the wind pollination. In this lecture you will know about adaptation in the hydrophilous flower. The hydrophilous flower, those flower in which the pollination takes place by the water. So let's start learning about these adaptations. Adaptations are the changes made by the any living organism or the part of the living organism for a particular process, for its survival, for performing that particular process in a successful way. So what adaptations are made by the hydrophilous flower? Flowers are small, inconspicuous. This is first adaptation. Flower should be small and inconspicuous. Perianth and the other floral parts are unvetable. Third, pollen grains of the hydrophilous flower are always long and unvetable due to the presence of the mucilage, because uh, the flower in the water is covered by the mucilaginous layers. That's why pollen grains are long and unvetable due to the presence of the mucilage. The nectar in this flower, nectar and fragrance are lacking because there is no need of this nectar and fragrance in the water. So these are some adaptations for the hydrophilous flower, the flower in which pollination takes place by the water. So actually hydrophily is of two types. This hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. Let's see the detail of this hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. Hypohydrophily, here before we go in the detail of this topic, you should know its actual meaning. Hypo means below or under, and hydrophily means the pollination by the water. So pollination occurs below the surface of the water, hence it is called hypohydrophily. Pollination, if it is occurring below the surface of the water level, here the pollen grains are heavier than the water and sinks down. Because pollen grains are heavier than water and it sinks down under the water surface, that's why it goes for the hydrophily and caught by the stigma of the female flower. For example, sea grass. In this zostera, you can see the pollen grains are long and ribbon-like and without exine. So that's why this type of flowers follows the process of the hypohydrophily, in which pollination under the water surface takes place, below the water surface takes place, because the uh, pollen grains are heavier than water and it sinks down and caught by the stigma. Example is zostera. Now the second type, epihydrophily. Epi means above. Hydrophily Epihydrophily. The pollen grains float on the water surface. So this is here is the meaning of this epihydrophily. Means the pollen grains float on the water surface, not below the water surface, and reach the stigma of the female flower. So if pollen grains are floating over the water surface, not under the water surface, so there is no need to go below the surface. That's why they follow the process of epihydrophily, and they reach their female flower stigma. Vallisneria is the example. This is the example of Vallisneria, male plant and female plant. This is the stigma of the female plant, and these are the anther pollen grains of the male plant. It flows on the water surface and reach to the stigma of the female plant. It is submerged dioecious freshwater aquatic plant. Female flowers reach the water surface temporarily to ensure the pollination and make flowers float on the surface of the water. Specific gravity of the pollen grain is equal to that of the water. Means it is actually equal to the water because it is not heavier than water, and hence it goes for the epihydrophily. That is why they float on the water surface. Some aquatic plants are anemophilous, means there are some plant which goes for the wind pollination, anemophilous in nature. For example, Potamogeton and Halogaris. In this plant, wind pollination takes place. Some aquatic plants are entomophilous. There are again some aquatic plants which do not go for the hydrophily, which even do not go for the wind pollination. They go for the entomophily. Entomophily, the pollination by the insect. So these plants are lotus, water hyacinth, and water lily. These are that plants which goes for the insect pollination, means entomophily. Entomos means biotic living organism, that is insect. Now the biotic agents. About 80% of the plants requires the help of biotic agents. For example, insect, birds, bat, and snail, to transfer their pollen from one flower to another flower. Pollination by the insect is called entomophily, as I have explained in the previous lecture, and it occurs in the rose, it occurs in the jasmine flower, it occurs in the cestrum flower. So these are the example of the flowers or plants in which pollination takes place by the insect. That's why these type of flowers are called entomophilous flower, means they follow the process of pollination by the insect. Adaptation in the entomophilous flower. What adaptation they have to make to perform the entomophily, to perform the pollination by the insect? Let's see. They are large. The flower should be large, showy. They should be showy in nature, and often brightly colored. There should be different color, bright color, to attract the insect. The flowers are produce sweet odor and have nectar glands. In the flower there should be odor to attract the insect, and they should have the nectar, they should have the juice for the um, uh, for attracting the insect, so that they can come in the greed of this nectar towards this flower by getting the sweet odor. So flower should produce sweet odor and have nectar glands. The stigma is rough due to the presence of the hair or is sticky due to the mucilaginous secretion. This is our These are the characteristics regarding or related to the stigma. It is rough due to the presence of the hair and it is sticky due to the mucilaginous secretion. As you can see, this is hairy stigma and sticky. The pollen grains, let's see some detail of the pollen grains. The pollen grains are spiny and are surrounded by a yellow sticky substance called a pollen kit. So you can see here, this is pollen grain. It is spiny, having spines, and it is having the yellow sticky substance. It is called pollen kits. So you can see here pollen kits and spines. This is about pollen grains. Some plants have the special adaptations for the insect visitors to help in the cross pollination, and that plants are showing the lever mechanism or the turnpike mechanism in the salvia plant. As you can see here, the upper anther lobe dust pollen grains. So this is the arrangement of uh, flower for for uh, for the insect to perform the process of the pollination, in which insect arrived on the petals of the flowers, and in that flowers this mechanism is called lever mechanism. So I'll explain this lever mechanism later in the next lecture. Pollination by the birds or ornithophily, because the meaning of ornitho is bird. As we have seen in the hydrophily, hydro means water, as we have seen in the wind pollination, as we have seen in the entomophily, entomo means insect. Likewise, now ornithophily, one of the most attractive type of pollination, ornithophily. Ornitho means birds, the pollination by the birds. Only a few types of birds are specialized for the pollination, and they usually have the small size and long beaks. So all that birds can perform the process of this pollination. They can go for the ornithophily pair, and for that they do have some adaptation in their body, like their beaks are long. As you can see in the sunbirds, its beak, and in this hummingbirds, you can see, which is the most famous picture of the world for the ornithophilus flower. So ornithophilus plants are bombyx, callistemon, that is bottle brush, and beauty, etc. As you can see here, these are the different flowers. These are the different flowers of the different plants, in which the process of ornithophily is followed. Now we'll go to see the adaptation in this ornithophilus flower. What adaptation they should have assumed for the ornithophily. The flowers are usually brightly colored, large and showy. There should be a different color, large in size petals, and they should be showy. They secrete profuse and dilute nectar, and pollen grains are sticky and spiny, and flowers are generally without fragrance, as birds have poor sense of smell. That's why there is very poor sense by the birds for the smell. That's why there is no fragrance in this type of ornithophilous flowers. Pollination by the bird, by the bats. So this type of pollination is called chiroptrophy. Chiropto means bird. So chiropto means bat. A bat can also go for the pollination. Bat can also consider as a agent, biotic agent for the pollination. Hence, this type of pollination is called chiroptrophy, means the pollination by the bird, by the bat. Bats can transport pollens over long distance, sometimes several kilometers too. So there are some adaptation in these chiroptrophilous flowers, the flowers which follows the process of the pollination by the bats, and it includes the flowers are dull colored with strong fragrance. The color should not be bright, and there should be a strong fragrance. They secrete abundant nectar, and flowers produce large amount of edible pollen grains. Pollen grains should be edible. This is the speciality of the Chiropterophilus flowers. For example, kadam tree, baobab tree, and sosek tree. You can see in this flower Anthocephalus, Adansonia flower, and Kigelia flower. In all these type of flowers, the pollination takes place by the bat. That's why these type of flowers are Chiropterophilus flowers. So this is about the types of the pollination by the different biotic agent, and this is about this lecture. I hope you have understood it. So comments if you are having any question or confusion in your mind. I will try to solve your problem. I will try to answer your question, and please subscribe my channel Patel Science Academy, and share my link with the other who need to learn about these type of topics. Till then, be healthy. Thank you very much.